Want to say hello to Richard, watching from Palestine, East Texas. Wet and cold finally. Looking forward to seeing Dave in his Walmart or TSC cowboy hat. Very good. I was out on the ranch. I actually think I've got a picture here. I was out on the ranch on Monday. We were doing some videotaping and got this picture right here. I don't know if y'all can see this or not. Right there. Picture of me in the cowboy hat out there on Steve's ranch. I had my cowboy shirt on there too, so
yeah,
it was a good time.
Shooter in your hand.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see. The Big Chill, Gary Green, watching from Tularosa. It's supposed to dip to 21 degrees tonight in Tularosa. Brr.
Oh.
That is going to be chilly. Get the fire going, I would imagine. We've got Leslie watching, wet, cold, and muddy here in Midland, Michigan. Waiting to hear about sending my saddle to Mike. Nat's watching, Steve, from Missouri.
Hey, granddaughter.
Cold and rainy out there, she says.
There you are.
Cowboykin from Connecticut is watching. All these folks are over on YouTube. On Facebook, we've got Eileen watching from Nebraska. We've got Tracy from Lake Como, Pennsylvania. We've got Lori says, hey, cowboy. Well, hey, right back to you. Well, of course, she's talking to you. I don't have my cowboy hat on.
No,
I'm in disguise.
She didn't say cowman.
Oh, she said cowboy, so she is talking to me. She knows this is my city disguise that I'm wearing. Let's see. David Cantors, Port Angeles, Washington. Blue sky, slight chill. Rebecca's watching from North Carolina. Thank you for your time with us, Steve and Dave. You're welcome, Rebecca. Nadine is watching from New Hampshire. I live in a heavily hunted area and use orange biothane britchin and breast collar on my mule. I love your saddle pad and have your Traillight saddle, but any thoughts on an orange pad?
Well, the big problem is, an orange wood, I've had them in the past, but they don't come in the type of material that I like to use. And it would be great, but folks, the idea of my pad is so that when it connects to the saddle, it creates a Velcro effect. And you know, I know a lot of you have seen the videos, and that the saddle don't move. And that's one of the reasons that we use the Delcron on the exterior. But at one time I used to do all that orange stuff, but not anymore. I tell you, the best thing to do is to have orange ribbon on your bridles. That's what we used to do. Put an orange ribbon on our bridles, and then orange on the neck. Orange ribbons on the neck, because that's usually where hunters shoot, you know. So anyway, but no, I can't do that because.
Very good. So we've got Penny watching from Montana. We've got James watching from Holden, Missouri. And we've got Daryl watching from Rockmart, Georgia. So it's good to have you all hanging out with us, spending a little bit of time with us here. Let's see. Make sure over on YouTube. Got a message from T. Wall. He says, your tip on adjusting my rope halter lower down on my mule's nose gave him a completely new, better attitude. So, Steve, why does that work? Because when you have a lot of horse folks, they'll have these nylon halters, or they'll even have a rope halter, but it'll be way up here on the nose, and you say get it down by the nostrils, what, like 3 fingers above the nostrils? And why does that work, and why is that okay?
Well, normally when you see the average horseman, they've got the rope halter up high on the cheekbones, and it's only on bone. So you have to do a lot of work, a lot of shoving with your hand to be kind of good at all on these nerves. The reason it does good on the nose is because it shuts off the wind, and it's kind of hard for them to breathe, you see, and it makes all the difference in the world. So between shutting off the wind here and the nerves underneath the chin, it don't take long to get the animal to understand that, hey, all you got to do is listen to me, and I'll make life comfortable for you. And there's the reason it works, because it communicates more crisper and cleaner down here on the nose, 2 fingers above the nostril, than it does up on bone.
Very good. All right, we've got Daryl watching from Rockmart, Georgia. We've got Nadine watching. We've got Carolyn from Southern Iowa. We've got Jamie from South Dakota. And we've got Kathy watching from Kotati. Breaking from listening nonstop about the Kincaid fire occurring here in Sonoma Country. Horrific fires. Yep, it's all over the news. And Steve, you are part of the firefighter community, are you not?
Yes, sir, I am. Matter of fact, last night during training, we were talking about the what's going on over there right now and what them firefighters have to go through, and some of the some engines from our area, Apache Junction, Mesa, Tempe, some engine crews are going over there now, along with maybe a tender or two. But yes, sir, it's quite tough over there right now. And one of the firefighters that comes over and trains us from Apache Junction said that they're in a bad way over there because those sparks will light up in one place and they'll fly 5 miles
Yeah.
and start up another fire. And they're not going to have enough manpower there. You know, they should have been thinning that stuff down a long time ago.
Yeah. 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 You don't want to give it fuel to consume. So, but they are where they are, and our hearts and prayers go out to them. And
Right.
and really, they God is Steve and I are both born again Christians, and so we believe that God is ultimately in control, and that He's the one who created the earth. He cares for the earth, and He is the one who sustains the earth. So when we pray, we believe that our prayers don't fall on deaf ears, that God actually responds, and so our prayers are for the firefighters, that they would be safe, and for the land, that it would be restored, and for the people, that they would all stay safe as well. So, hey, Kathy, stay safe out there, and thanks for joining us for a few minutes here to hang out and take your mind off of something that's still going to be there. Just give yourself a little bit of a break. We've got Teresa watching from North Carolina. Good to have you here, Teresa. Nat has some questions, Steve. She says, I have an issue. One of my mules won't stop chewing on the wood in her stall. I put oil on it, but she just won't stop. Any other ideas?
Well, the type of oil that I like to use is the oil from my diesel oil. It works good. But here's the thing, Nat. It's when it comes to wood, these boogers are chewing all the time, especially when they're young. They'll be growing teeth until they're 7 years old, and you've got a couple of young mules there. So chew, that's what they're going to do. They're going to find something to chew on. So best thing I can tell you to do, Nat, is to cover it with metal. Take some tin and cover it. All of my stuff here at the ranch is completely metal, just so I wouldn't have to do that. And the other thing I like to do is I like to take my mesquite and palo verde limbs and throw them into the mules, and they'll chew on those. So if you've got some type of trees around there that you know that are not poisonous, which I don't know your trees that are there, but I would definitely find some old tree limbs and throw them in there. That's what we do at the Phoenix Zoo too. All of their mesquite and palo verde, the extra ones, they throw them into their different animals that like to chew, and their equines are some of them.
Very good. Kathy says, thank you, and we're safe. We're glad to hear that, Kathy. Thank you for sharing that. Dory says, amen. Let's see here. The next question we've got is on rope halters. This one's from Rebecca. Says, I know this question has been asked previously, but I would like to revisit it. I noticed that many mule owners ride their mules with a rope halter underneath their bridles. Is this a personal preference, or is it something that should be included as standard tack for your mule, along with the bridle, saddle, breeches, cinches, and breast collar? Many thanks for your insight and knowledge. Greatly appreciated. What do you have to say there to Rebecca?
Well, one of the reasons they do that is so they've got a quick way to be able to tie to a tree. But of course, you always want to pull the bridles off so that they don't rub the bridle and make a mess of your nice bridle. But it's a quick way to tie off. And here's the thing that you also got to remember is that when you're on state and forest land, you cannot tie to a tree unless it's an emergency, because the livestock will, especially horses, will, just like we just heard with Nat, is they chew on wood, and they'll chew on a tree, they'll paw the bark, they'll paw in different things, and they'll destroy a tree, and that makes the Forest Service really unhappy. So they put the halter underneath so that they can quickly be able to tie to something. And it makes it so that they don't have to go back to their saddlebags, get the rope halter out, pull the bridle off, slide the halter on, and tie it off. And that's what they do. Personally, I teach mine to hobble. I hobble the 2 front feet. I put one rein up on the horn, the other rein hangs down, and they stand there nice and quiet.
Very good. So you have to teach them to hobble. They don't. You can't just put the hobble straps on them and they'll stand there.
That's right. Yeah, it does. It does take time. You use a sideline, it's called, and you tie the left foot with the left front with the right rear with a short rope on a hobble, and they have to scoot. And that way it keeps them from taking off. A lot of people use 2 hobbles on the front legs for grazing. The only problem is a lot of these hunters have found out when they've been clear back in the mountains, and they go to get their livestock the next morning, they've already ran clear back to the truck simply because they can do that with 2 front feet and nothing hobbled to the back. But the way I train them is I hobble the left front, right rear, and it's impossible for them to take off that way.
Very good. All right, let's see here. Next question that we got. Mark Miller's tuning in from Pennington Gap, Virginia. A well-needed rainy day here. Thanks for all. Absolutely, Mark. This next question, this is about feed, and this one comes from Linda. It says, 9-year-old mini donkey, a bit overweight. His pasture mate is 26 years old, gelding, horse, and I feed him 3 to 4 times per day. Coastal Orchard alfalfa, 1 flake of each, and donkey gets portion of the coastal. I usually separate them. My horse dribbles grain, and Chevy eats it up when he can. I can't leave him separate. I hope Chevy's the mule and not her husband. I can't leave him separated for long periods. I am working. Paddock shed is on one side. Only the inclinate weather leaves on the outside. I need to do something different. Donkey weighs about 270. Any suggestions?
Yeah, folks, these donkeys, it's really for them easy, very, very easy for them to get grass founder. And basically, it's because of the carbohydrates that's within the feed. So when you feed any kind of alfalfa at all, it's got tons of carbohydrates and sugars. And that's when the little donkey pays the price. Unfortunately, I have seen some of them that they've been overfed with too much carbohydrates, and they end up getting crippled, end up getting problems with their feet, foundered in their feet. The grass founder is along the top of the crest of the neck, along the dock of the tail, and the top of the ribs. And that can happen really quick. I do not like to feed my animals together. Everybody's got a separate feeding station, separate corrals, this sort of thing, so they can get fed correctly. Now, here's the thing, Dave. We've talked about pasture mates in the past. And everybody thinks that their horse needs a pasture mate, and they get a goat, or they get a Shetland pony, or like here, they get a donkey. Well, now, the horse can't go anywhere unless the donkey's there, because he don't want to do that. Or the donkey won't go any place unless the horse is there. You can't go for a ride and lead a goat. I mean, that's some tough going. Or you can't go for a ride and lead a donkey that's wanting to feed all the time. So, folks, they don't need pasture mates. They really don't. You need to be the herd leader. You need to be their friend. You need to be their boss. You need to be their pastor, whatever it takes. But they don't need a pasture mate. Otherwise, you're going to end up with torn down stalls, unhappy mule, unhappy donkey, unhappy goat. Just you be the boss. You don't need pasture mates, folks. You really don't. You end up in the long run with more trouble than it's worth.
Yeah, that's something that we hear over and over and over again. Folks concerned about the pasture mates, and then not being able to get away from the pasture mates anytime and then you get a goat or something like that, but then you have to take the goat everywhere, and it's a story that's come up multiple times here over the last year. It just lots of questions about it.
You bet. And the safety part of it, Dave, you can't just turn them loose. If you do it in the Forest Service, they'll ticket you, and a lot of these parks will ticket you. But the other thing is, with all the traffic around, if one of them gets loose and steps out in front of a vehicle, boom, I've heard some awful stories about that, but they don't need to have a pasture mate. You'll end up having problems that you don't want to have to deal with. It's frustrating problems.
Yep. Let's see. Rebecca says, "Thank you, Steve, for the great explanation regarding the rope halter. Greatly appreciate that. It's our pleasure, Rebecca." Uh, Carrie Lynn asked, "If do you have a video available for your way of hobbling?" Thank you. So, Carrie Lynn, I put a link to Steve's instructional video. A lot of stuff is for free up on YouTube. Steve has a few instructional DVDs that really go into great detail, and those are available on his website. I put a link to that in the comment section, so you can go ahead, check that out, see if that's going to be a good fit. Dory says, "Thank you for your live feed and videos. My most nervous mule has become wonderful, different mule." How fun is that to hear?
That's fantastic. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
Dang, it worked, and I know it's way different, huh, Dave, than everybody else that's out there. I mean, you hear it all the time. Well, we've never done it like that. I understand. But it took me 40 years to be able to figure these things out, and they've worked for me. But if they don't work for you, don't use it,
Yeah.
But give it a try. Give it an honest try, and I think you'll see that it'll come around for you, especially like this donkey thing. The poor little donkey will end up being grass foundered, Dave, and it's just not fair to him. And
Yeah.
at least ways she's trying. She's wanting to know some ideas, and you have to keep your animals, folks. Each one of them's got to have their own stall so they can get fed independently different, just like you and I.
So I'll tell you what, I think in all the time that I've spent around you and all the interaction that I've had with mule owners and just all of our equine friends, one of the things that really stands out to me is to be a successful trainer, to be a successful owner, to really experience the joy that comes from having one of these animals in your life is to approach them with a level of humility, curiosity, and just awe for the way that they've been created. And that's what I've seen in you, and that's what I've seen in our most successful clients is the ones who approach it with a level of humility and say, "Look, hey, maybe I did it wrong the first time. I'm going to try it again, and I'm going to do the way that that Steve's saying this time." Those are the ones who experience breakthrough. The ones that typically we have a lot of back and forth with is the ones that just say, "Well, my trainer told me not to do it that way." Yeah. And okay, well, hey, if your trainer knows how to do it, then go ahead and follow the trainer. Yeah, but it's still happening. Well, we'll tell you what we can do, and it's just having that humility and the respect for the animal.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of yabbit mules, and that happens all the time. And I understand, and question, when I was doing this cowboy stuff, one thing you didn't do was question these guys too much. You just watch and listen, and that was the old way of doing it. They were so humble, they didn't want to tell you were wrong unless you were just about to get yourself killed, Then they'd get in there and say, Steve, old Nick would say, Steve, I had a horse like that back in 1928. And if he started talking and philosophizing and telling me a story, that's basically telling me, stop right there, listen to my story, and then go make the decision that you're getting ready to make, He was quite the guy.
Yep. So we got a question here on shoeing, and I think we talked about shoeing a little bit last week. I can't recall it. Sometimes the weeks just blend together. Yeah. But Jerry says, "You said only 4 nails per shoe. Yep. Don't you wind up losing nails?"
No, I don't end up losing shoes. I don't end up losing nails.
Oh, that's what he said. Don't you wind up losing shoes? That's what I meant to say.
Okay, that's more like it there. No, my country's tough around here. This is straight up, straight down, plumb tough stuff, and I can't afford to lose a shoe. But no, I don't lose them. We got to think about this. Where's that third or fourth nail? It's right there in the quarter cracks. You get your smaller mules with a triple-aught shoe, and you put that third nail in. Where is it? Right in the softest part of the whole hoof. And then when that back foot does get a hold of it or it does get twisted, it pops loose really easy. But having just the 4 nails in there, it's in good solid foot all the way around. And if they do get a hold of it, rarely do I lose a shoe, Rarely.
All right, let's see here. We've got Paul watching from chilly and rainy Kentucky. Good to have you here, Paul. Let's see. We've got Karen. Guys, hi, guys. Karen from Raymond, California. Is your hobble designed for the front and back or just the front feet? And I think you had said you do one front, one rear.
Yeah. All right. So now when I'm grazing hobbling and they are grazing as they're eating, I hobble left front, right rear. When I am hobbling them to stand still and quiet, I hobble the two front feet. When I am training them to stand still and quiet, I have a chain in the ground with 200 pounds of concrete onto it. And then when they go to move with them hobbles, it automatically grabs a hold of them and they stand in place. Now, I've had some of them fall because they've been on hobbles before and they think they can just run off. And when they do, whap, they hit the ground. It's not what I want, but they made the choice. So, but that's how I do it. And then if you don't have a chain in the ground, you take your hobbles to your two front feet and you hobble back to one of the back feet, usually the left rear, and then that teaches them not to run off because when they go to jump with their front feet, the back foot comes up and it makes them sit down and they'll quickly do it. That's the video that I use in that, Dave, that I sell on my website is called Wait Here.
Yeah.
And it shows all kinds of ways how to tie a high line, how to hobble single, how to hobble double, how to do a spider. And a spider is a really good tool. A hobble goes to all 4 feet. When you have one that wants to run off all the time, you put a spider on them and they'll want to stand still. But that's some of the old stuff we used to do.
Just posted a link to that on YouTube and Facebook, so folks can go check that out and see if it's a good fit for them. Jerry says, thanks. I'm going to try 4 nails. So very good, Jerry. Appreciate that. We've got a question here that came in from Catherine. Says, hey, Steve, yay for you to be long ears guy. My big question for you is how can I get the pellets you recommend? I live in New Hampshire and no feed stores around here carry that product. My mules are Pony Mule. Henry is 14 and quarter horse size mule. Tommy is 24. Both rescue, mainly pets. I guess my goal would be to acquire a mule who has been well riding trained. I'd love to do that with my horse friends and recently moved to an area of 500 acres of land trust. Let's see. Question there. Doesn't have the feed. What should she do?
Well, you're right, exactly. It doesn't go much more farther than some places in Texas, and that's only because it's gotten to be a big company. But what you want to do is read the article, Mules Can't Stand Prosperity, and take that article. You will see the ingredients in the back. Take those ingredients down to your feed store and say, here's what I've got for ingredients. What do we have that's similar to it? Now, there are several different companies that have some similarities. The main thing you want to stay away from, folks, always, is your sugars, your carbohydrates. That's really, really important to try to stay away from that. But you also want to think about when you are feeding, maybe your mule may not need as much zinc as what's in that feed. Or maybe your donkey may not need as much vitamin A as what's in that. So the best thing you can always do is go to your vet, get a blood test, see what that says. Or if your vet does hair follicles, they can take a hair follicle, do some testing on it, and they can find out what the donkey really needs. So let's use this new way to do pharmacy and doctoring and vet work to our advantage, and just don't throw just any feed out there to them.
Very good. Thanks for that question there, Catherine. Appreciate that. I sent a message back to Catherine with a link to Mules Can't Stand Prosperity so she can get that ingredients list there. Let's see. We got some more folks joining us over on Facebook. And if you are joining us for the first time, my name is Dave and this is Steve. Every Wednesday we come and just chat mules and donkeys for about 60 minutes, answer as many questions as we can get to, and have a lot of fun doing it. So make sure that you let us know you're watching. Put your name in the comment section with where you're watching from. And folks have been saying what the weather's like, so let's have that in there too.
Sure.
Number 2, ask your question. No question's a bad question. We don't get tired of answering the same question, and we're happy to go as in-depth as we can. A lot of times we'll have a back and forth. We'll answer a question partially, and then a viewer will go ahead and say, well, here's a follow-up. And we'll answer that, and then they'll do another follow-up. So, we're even happy to do that. And then finally, just make sure you share the broadcast. These are free. We don't charge anything for them. You don't have to sign up for anything. If you sign up and you want to get notifications, you can do that, but it's not a requirement. So the only thing we ask in return is to just let other people know about muleranch.com and what Steve is doing here on Facebook and YouTube. Carrie Lynn says, thank you so much. God bless. Neil Campbell says, hello from Peshtigo, Wisconsin. Steve, do you have a video on how to train my mule to pull a cart?
Yes, I've got a couple, 2 or 3 different ones. One is called Foundation Training. Foundation Driving. And the other one is called First Drive. And then there's another one called Communicating Through Your Hands. And those are all, ones that kind of focus toward the driving aspects of driving.
So when it comes to the videos, what do we put a lot of stuff up on YouTube for free. Like there's just a wealth of information up on YouTube. What can they? We'll do a little promo here for the videos because I'm sure folks want to know where's the crossover. What can they expect to see? Let's just use those ones that you talked about. What can they expect to see when they go and make that jump from, okay, I watched all your videos on YouTube, I'm ready to up my training, I'm looking at getting the foundations of driving. What type of an experience can they anticipate having going through these videos that you've got?
Well, probably more detail. They'll see more of the beginning to the end and see that. We usually do excerpts. If I remember right, Dave, all these different things, but it'll give you a full picture. You actually, and you'll find that when I'm doing this stuff, I don't choreograph it. I do it just actually how it happens, the good, bad, and ugly, whatever happens, and then I show you how to fix the problem. But basically, it's the detail that we have in the DVDs, Dave.
That's good. I'll tell you what. I'll tell folks a story here. So Steve and I have a mutual friend, Mr. Michael Decker. And back in 2007, Michael said, hey, I've got a friend, a family friend, who's looking for someone to do some video stuff. You wouldn't be interested, would you? I said, yeah, I need to earn some extra money. Young, just married, trying to get myself set. And so I was like, yeah, I could use some extra money. So he paired me up with Steve. And before I ever met Steve, Michael brought me all the videos. Michael brought me all the stuff that I need. And he says, now there's one thing Steve really wants. I said, okay, what is it? He said, Steve, it's very important to Steve that people know these videos are not trimmed. They're not edited. We don't take out the bad stuff and just leave the stuff that makes him look good. Steve wants it to say these videos are not Hollywood. They are filmed on a live working ranch. And he wants something with like the elements in the background, like lightning or something like that. I said, okay, I think I can come up with something. So I went out, I found some video of lightning. I put the words over. I said, these videos are not filmed in Hollywood. They are filmed on a live working ranch. And I showed it to Steve, and he goes, that's exactly what I wanted. That's exactly what it needed to be. So that's been the case since the beginning. Is they're not edited down to make you look good.
Yeah, and we're doing a bunch of new stuff, huh, Dave? I mean, folks, Dave here, he's younger than us, of course, but he's got all these great ideas and all this stuff, and I just sit there going, oh yeah. So there's getting ready to be a brand new website. You all are going to get all kinds of information. I can't believe what Dave's got in mind. I mean, this kid is always going, and how he gets an hour a week to spend time with us is amazing to me, because I know he's got 3 young boys that keep him busy and a wife, and then several employees, but yet he takes an hour each week out, and I think that's super. But hey, this new website you all are going to see, it's going to be pretty incredible. It's just a matter of of getting with Dave and getting this thing going.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll tell you what. The horses have had about 10,000 years, 20,000 years a head start on us. So we've got to make up ground. And you know what they didn't have? The internet. And we've got the internet, so we can get those mules and donkeys out ahead of the pack a lot quicker than they could when they were getting those horses out front of the pack. We've got a question from Jarrett here over on YouTube. Jarrett says, "Hey guys, any advice for underrun heels on hind feet?" So number one, what are underrun heels? What is that? Why is that not good? I'm assuming. And two, any advice for dealing with it?
Well, basically what it amounts to is the foot is way ahead of the leg. So instead of looking like this, the foot is way ahead because they've been letting the toe grow long and taking off of the heel. So now the heel is not where it needs to be. So it's going to take some corrective shoeing of taking the shoe and moving it back on the hoof on the white line and trimming it up about a quarter at a time until he gets the hoof and the wall line going back. The downside of this, if that heel is ahead like he's talking about, also the coffin bone is ahead too. And this is what it amounts to. Here's these three fingers. This is the outside wall, and this is the white line, that little fibrous material between the outside wall and the coffin bone. And this is the shock absorber. This helps protect the coffin bone. And what happens is with that foot going forward, that's going to get separation of the lamina, and this coffin bone is going to want to go forward, and it's going to be very, very difficult to get all that back lined up again, and it's going to take some shoeing. So if the mule is under 7 years old, it'll probably happen within about a year, in about several 3, 4, 5 different shoeings and setups. If the mule is older, it's almost next to impossible to get that heel back out where it needs to be. It was just some poor choices with people in the past, unfortunately, and it happens because a lot of people, Dave, they think they don't need to shoe or trim or anything else, a mule or a donkey, and this is one of the downsides, is the foot grows out rather than down. Yeah. And it makes it tough on them. So that's what it is.
Yeah, and one of the things that my perception, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, my perception is folks feel like they can't do their own, is it farrier work? Working on the feet? Yeah. Folks think that they can't do their own farrier work and they can't learn to do it, and they need to find someone, and finding a good farrier is real hard. And what I've heard you be a proponent of is folks learning how to do their own farrier work so it's consistent, it's done timely, and they invest the time into learning how to do it. Now, do you believe that folks should be able to and should take time to learn how to do their own farrier work?
I've trained a lot of people over the years, Dave, that to do their own, and sometimes it's tough. If you're doing corrective shoeing, that's when it takes the abilities of a good farrier to get things lined up. But to do the average trimming and the average shoeing, folks, I've seen a lot of shoers do mules completely incorrect. And they're professionals, but they don't know. That's the downside. So that's one of the things, Dave, I like to have out there is my YouTube and stuff, is give somebody a different perspective as to how to go about either training or shoeing. Trimming.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something that we've learned is the more that people try, the more they're able to do it, and they can kind of take things into their own hands and not wait around for the perfect trainer or the perfect farrier to come along. David Pingelli saying, coming through loud and clear on my cruise ship in Montreal, Canada. David.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's got to be cold up there.
That guy is always going to these cruise ships. Not only does he make super coffee, but he's a musician. And so they fly him all over the world to do this work, to do his music. And so, yeah, he's up in Montreal right now. This morning, he texted me and he said, Steve, I'm riding a 13.2 mule that belongs to my wife. And 13.2, of course, is pretty small. Mm-hmm. And do you think I'm too heavy for it? And I said, if you are, then I am, because I'm 195 pounds, and I ride a 13.2 mule down at the Andrada Ranch.
Yep. Very good. All right, let's see here. Moving right along. Next question comes in from, let me get caught up. Facebook, every time I go to look at so folks, sometimes it takes me a little bit of a second, because on Facebook, if you don't scroll in the comment section, it just jumps all the way to the bottom. There's a lot of good conversation going on in here today, and it keeps bumping me back to the bottom. So I'm scrolling back up. Sherry here says, hi guys, Sherry from North Georgia. Raining buckets here. Send some of it our way, Sherry. We need it.
Yeah.
We need that rain. Jackie and Greg Eden. Hi guys. Hello from Iowa. Hello from Arizona. Sandy is watching from Wickenburg, Arizona. What's the weather like out there, Sandy? Is it cooling down out there like it is up here? I'll imagine it is. William is watching from Virginia. Linda says hello from Peak Week Autumn in Central Ohio. From Theo, the Red Mule, and Linda, the Old Mule Servant. Sorry I'm late. Had to bring in the last of this year's tomatoes. I'll bet those are going to be good.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. What you got growing in your garden, Steve?
We got strawberries and tomatoes, and but she's got some squash coming up. She's got some cucumbers coming up, things like that. Pumpkins, you know.
Nice, very good. Pumpkin pie maybe on the horizon.
Oh man.
Kate Richter from Washington State. Beautiful sunny day. Blessings to you all. Thank you so much, Kate. Appreciate that. Yolanda's here. We've gone international. Hey. Steve, my mule is going okay, slowly. And the pain in her stomach wall is less painful. And in about 3 weeks, a lab comes to take blood and see if she is infected with liver bone worms. And guess what? I got my mule a cricket bit, and she loves it and is more at ease. What is a cricket bit?
Well, that's one of the few mules that that like it, because usually they spend so much time it drives you crazy. But a cricket is a roller inside the center of the bit, and they play with it all the time. And one of the downside is with the cricket, they'll like it at first, and then they'll start gapping their mouth and getting their tongue over top because they can with that type of a little port. But it's kind of a way for them to build up saliva, and it's a way for them to have something else to do besides pay attention to you.
Yep. So it's one of those deals where, hey, Steve's going to tell you what works for him. If you got something that works for you, and Yolanda is up, she is the ambassador for the mule and donkey out there in the Netherlands, and she's up on it. So so she knows what that mule needs, and she knows what works for her. So Paul's watching. Paul says, I've been working with my Jenny on trying to load in the trailer. So far, I haven't been able to get her to load, but I'm going slow and only trying 2 times per session. Now, Steve, we went out to, was it not Queen Creek? Oh, goodness. Where is it? Way out there?
Yeah, it was the Avondale Goodyear.
Buckeye. And did a video out there with Catherine about trailer loading, and this is something that she had said. You know, it took 8 men to get this animal to load up in the trailer, and 45 minutes in, you, in your 60s, whatever you were weighing at the time, with almost a whole finger off of your hand, you were getting that mule to load in and out. What was the difference?
Well, folks, we can't just when you're training, don't just say, I'm going to do it for 10 minutes and that's enough, or I'm just going to do it twice and that's enough. It has to be 3, 6, 9, 12, you know. So you do it 3, you get 3 the way you like it, you quit. And then you come back the next time and you do those 3, they do a good job, then you do 6. Now you've done 6, they do a good job at 6. Next time you train, and you do not want to train every day. Train a little at a time. If you're doing a good job, then that training they'll keep right on going with it. But here's the thing. Number 1, they've got to have respect for the halter. If you're going up there twice and then you go to do it again and they're still saying no, you're telling them it's okay. They've got to have some type of forward motion, and you cannot be pulling on them. That's one of the biggest things. Now, one of the things that you're going to be seeing in my video about trailer loading is when I pick up on the lead rope to touch them to go forward, I just hold my quirk up and I attach them, tap them on top of the back at the point of the croup. And then when they go forward a step or a half a step, I quit. But then I put it back up again, a little bit of pressure upon the rope. Notice I said don't pull, a little bit of pressure, and then use the quirk on the point of the croup, tap them to go forward. But before the horse trailer, folks, just like before the river, before the bridge, before this, do your homework at home. Lay down a piece of plywood, have them walk across that first, because it kind of has a thump, thump, thump sound like your trailer. Throw a tarp down. And with that tarp, they can learn to go across. Now, what you're doing is you're teaching them to respect the halter. It's not so much load into the trailer. It is when I pick up on that lead rope, I want you to go. Now, before the halter, you need to use the come-along hitch because it'll get you far more. Like David said, even though, I was 65 years old, but I had this finger, I had a knife that had gone through the bottom of it, and it was bleeding really tough, and I had to put a glove over it, and I was basically one-handed. But we got the mule loaded, and he got to where now she has no problem at all, and he's consistent. So you really need to have the come-along hitch first, do some groundwork away from the trailer, and then work your way to the trailer. And that video, Dave, gives them the ground foundation.
Yeah, I put that in the a link to that video. Y'all can see our experience out there on the ranch. The ground foundation starting kit. Y'all, if you do not have the ground foundation starting kit, i.e., if you don't have the rope halter, come along rope, and the problem mule video, I want you to go buy this trio right here. We discounted it, so it gives you all three for a little bit of a discount there. But I want you to go and buy it. Make sure you have the come along rope, the rope halter, and the problem mule. The reason why those three tools are so important is because all of the tune-up work and all of the corrective work that you're going to do and all the ground foundation, they revolve around that rope halter and the come-along rope. And if you watch more than 5 videos of Steve's YouTube channel, you're going to see that come-along rope or that rope halter, one of the two, make an appearance in 98% of the videos. And just look at the reviews that people put on these products. And we won't tell you how great they are. We'll let you tell them how great it is. Now, you still got to go out there and do things the right way. That's the problem mule video. That shows you how to do it the right way. The tool, the come-along rope and the rope halter, they're only as good as your communication is. So don't think just because you got the come-along rope or the rope halter that everything gets better. You need to know how to use it. So you watch the videos on YouTube, you watch the problem mule video, and you'll get a good idea of how to do it. Is that correct, Steve?
There you go. It's one thing having the tool. It's another thing using it correctly. Just like a crescent wrench, you can tighten one way and loosen another with that crescent wrench. And so you just need to know how to use the tool, and away you go.
Yep. All right, here's a question we've gotten before, and anxious to hear your answer. It's great because sometimes we'll answer the same question the same way from a different angle and learn something new. Linda says, question about pawing while tied. Theo will paw the ground when he is getting tacked up. He paws while getting saddled, but stops pawing when I put a bit and bridle on. Should I put the bit and bridle on first? How can I teach him not to paw? By the way, he doesn't pull away, just paws, which is rude, is what she says.
Yeah, it's rude, all right. So here's the deal. The pawing is all part of I don't want to be here. And so they'll paw, and or I want the grass that's underneath the snow, and they'll paw to get to that. The best thing you can do is take you 2 straps, one for each leg, and about 16-inch of real heavy chain, and put it on each leg. And as they paw, that chain hits them on a cannonball and makes them uncomfortable. You also want to take a string and go from one hobble across the top of the neck to the other hobble and tie it to keep the hobbles from dropping down. And that'll be very helpful for you. But it's rude to you, but to them, it's how they get what they want. They don't want to be there, so if I paw, maybe you'll take me away, or maybe you'll lengthen my lead rope, or maybe you'll do something else. But I need you really to just let me off of here and put me out in the pasture.
Yep, very good. All right, let's see here. What other questions are coming in? Folks, we've got a few minutes left here, and if you are just joining us, I want to introduce myself and tell you my name is Dave, and this is Steve. Steve's been working with mules for the better part of 40 years, cowboying all his life, and I get to hang out with him every Wednesday talking about mules and donkeys. So if you're first time watching or if you've never commented before, this is a challenge for you. Go ahead, put your name and where you're watching from in the comment section. We would love to say hello to you right here on this live stream. It's live. There might be about a 10-second delay, but if you put your name in there, we're going to see it and we're going to say hello. Second thing is ask that you put your questions in there. We've got about one more question here for this week, so we'll have a little bit of time. So if you were thinking, oh gosh, I don't know if they're going to have time, we will have time to get to it, and we do our best to make sure every question gets answered. So put that in the comment section. The last part is that we just ask you that you share this with friends and family and folks who you know appreciate good donkey and good mule content, because that's what we try to do here every single week. So let's take a look here. Linda says thank you, so she's appreciative there. Looking over on YouTube, we've got Kimberly from Gilbert watching. Says sorry I'm late. I will have to keep up. And you know what? I actually thought we had one more. Steve, we've gotten through all of the questions so far for today. I'll tell you what. You have anything you want to talk about? Things we have coming up, things that we're looking on, maybe putting on the website here in the coming months or so?
Well, Dave, like you've been telling me, you've got some great ideas for a new website. And folks, the idea of my information here is to get you to try something different. This new website's going to come out. It's going to have a lot of information. We've got a lot of new training sessions that's going to be on YouTube and Facebook and this sort of thing. But even all this stuff that I put together, if some of it works for you, use it. But here's the thing. You're gonna have a lot of people not real happy with you because that's just not the way it's done. So you're going to get a lot of people with a lot of ideas, and you just have to work on what works good for you. It's not a matter of me selling you a come-along rope or something like that, but it's a matter of me getting you to try a different technique, a different way, so that it makes it easier on you and easier on the animal. I've got a lot of clients that are training these animals on their own. They're doing their own shoeing. They're doing their own training. It's pretty awesome to see, and that's what we need to have is folks that are really happy, and that's what they seem to be, Dave.
Yeah, they are.
The dog and pony show has got to stop. It's not going to stop because that's the way people do it, but we get some new ideas out there. It kind of makes people a little bit on the crabby side because now it gets taken away from them, and they no longer can make their money training the way they used to.
Yep, better for the mule, better for the rider. Doreen came in with the question. Thank you, Doreen. Says mules and mares. What are your opinions, Steve?
Mules and mares?
And mares, that's what she says.
Well, I wonder if she's thinking which one is the better, the mare mule or the John mule.
There we go.
Or one of the things about having a mare horse around is she's always going to be the boss. She's going to boss them mules around. She'll bite them. She'll kick them. She'll push them around, but she will be the boss, where that's something you need to be. But if you're asking me which one I like better, the mare mule or the John mule, it makes no difference. What I like is disposition. When you get a mule, you get a good disposition. It don't make any difference what color, how much training, how many times it's been to Colorado, whatever. It is disposition. That's what you buy.
That's what we've heard so many times. I cannot count. I've lost track. I wouldn't even attempt to try. The number of times the words have appeared in a sentence of, he didn't do that with the old owner, or the number of times where they've said he is a trained mule, but uh, the number of times we've read, I was told that he had traveled up and down the Grand Canyon. All of these lines, like, it's mind-boggling how many times we see that, and it just, yeah, it really doesn't matter, does it?
No, it doesn't. I have people. I just had a couple people today call me and say this mule is a trained mule, but he's sure not doing what he's supposed to do. And I say, well, tell me what you're doing. And they want to pick up the foot. And I says, yeah, the mule doesn't want to pick up the foot because you're not communicating correctly to him. That's why. So they may be a trained mule, but you need to learn the cues. You need to learn what button to push so that they can do what you want them to do.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see. David, watching from Rio, Illinois, my third live. David, it's good to have you here. Been watching the YouTube videos. Great information. Thank you. We've got Kimberly asking future clinics at the ranch. Kimberly, have you been spying on me and Steve? Have you been listening to our messages back and forth? That's something Steve and I have been talking about, and we're trying to nail down some dates here in early 2020. So if you've got some ideas, send them our way. Can't say it'll be exactly what we do, but would love to hear if you got some ideas on when and what we should do, and maybe that'll give us something to go off of. But yeah.
Well, I am going to Australia in March. We know we're going to be doing that. So all of you Australians, we got that Mule and Donkey show the 7th and 8th of March. It's wonder we haven't heard from Dave and Di. I've sent an email out to the Rifle Creek Ranch there in Queensland and asked them about the dates and what they think they'd like to have and this sort of thing. So we're going to spend a couple, 2-3 weeks there in Australia. So by golly, we're going to have a good time. We're going to do some training of some mules and some camels.
Yeah, we'll be good. So Nat's here. She says, what bit should I use for speed events? To train, I use the martingale, and she does well. She does well. But when we are at the event, she doesn't listen. So I switched out the trail bit. She does okay, but let's see, but not as well as she does at home with the martingale.
Yeah. The martingale would depend on if it's AMA rules or NASMA rules. The martingale is, or it also can be the judge, but you can use the martingale in your speed events. So your barrel racing, your pole bending, things like this, a lot of that type of thing, you can use that mule rider's martingale. You definitely want to use that because here's the thing, Nat, when you get to a show, they're going to be looking all around, seeing all these things that are going on. So what you want to do is ride with your martingale before your event. You'll see a lot of trainers doing this. They're using their favorite training bit in the very beginning to kind of get the mule's head back together, the horse's head back together, and then they switch over to the bit they're going to use in that particular class. But anytime you get someplace like a show, something like that, something new, by golly, they're going to have their head high, look and see what's going on. So Nat, my granddaughter, there she is. I want you to use the martingale at first, do your riding around, this sort of thing. Ask the judge, is it permissible to use it? Let him see it and go from there. I've yet to see a judge that would say, no, you can't use that in a speed event like that.
Very good. Paul's got a question, says, I'm using the come-along rope, and on one of your videos, I thought you said don't do threes as it might teach bad habits. Did I get that right?
No, you do want to use threes. You want to use 3, 6, 9, 12. That's what you want to do. So today, let's just say today, I want my mule to back up. So he moves a shoulder, and then he moves a leg, and then he moves a foot. That's 3. So I'm done for that, for the right hand, right front. Then I take my left front. I get a shoulder, I get a leg, and then I get a foot. So that's done. I've got the left foot with 3, the right foot with 3. And then I go, the next time I train, you don't have to train every day. I take and do those 3, and I add 3 more to it. And then finally I get to 12, and then I can mix and match them. So when you get to where you're doing it 12 at a time and they're responding really good, then by golly, go on and mix and match. Now, if at any one time like say you go to 9 and they're not responding correctly, then slow down, go back and try it again. And if you're still having a hard time, then go back to 6 and get it.
So one of the things that I believe I have heard you say this, so correct me quick if I'm wrong, is when you do it the 3, you want to do it correct. You don't want to do it 3 times incorrectly, because once you've done it the 3rd time, now they've learned it. And,
That's right.
And
now they
it's
got a
memory.
foundation. So expect the slightest try. And if that slight try was kind of where you want it, where it's going in the right direction, then do the next one. And if it's better than the first one, then do the next one. Now I have foundation. I've got 3. And by the time you do the 3, 6, 9, 12, now you got a firm foundation. Now you can mix and match and do different things.
Well, I'll tell you what. 12 times the mule does it right. That's a transformed mule.
Oh,
12 men going out, taking one message, that changes the world.
That changed the world. That's right.
That's right there. That's a good number.
Yes, sir.
Let's see. Let's do the last question here we got for today. This one's from Dusty. Dusty, it's good to have you here. Thanks for watching. Glad you took a second to put your question in there. It says, what size round pin do you find most useful, Steve? What size round pin do you find most useful?
I like to do my ground foundation training in a 50-foot round pin. It usually gives me plenty of ways to use it, and I use a round pin if I'm building a foundation or if I've got one hard to catch. But I don't just put them in there and chase them around just to the point of moving them around. They've got to have a job. So if you put them in a round pin and you're going to be training on them, you can go ahead and put the rope halter on them, and they'll teach themselves how to rope halter.
Last question here, Paul just put this in. He says, I've heard a law about pawing chains. Do you have a video that shows that setup? We don't have a video that shows the setup, but can you give them some instruction real quick?
Yeah, basically you take 2 straps, kind of like a dog collar or something like that, and put it on the left and on the right above the leg. And then you take and run a chain, about 16 inches or so of heavy chain, depending on how big the cannon bone is, and put it on each leg, and then run a baling twine from one strap to the other. And then as the chain moves, it's going to pound them on the cannon bone and make them uncomfortable. The idea of the string going from strap to strap is to keep the chains from going down to the ground.
There we go. Steve, that's it for today. Another good broadcast. Had a lot of fun. Got to see a lot of our friends. Thank you, everyone, so much for taking some time out of your day just to hang out with us, spend some time with us, share what's going on with you. We're happy to share what's going on with us. And, it's pretty amazing that we can get everything accomplished that we get accomplished through live stream here on Facebook and YouTube. It's Steve, you knew that's what we were going to do, though, back in 82. You knew that 82, 81, around then, you knew that we'd be doing this today, didn't you?
Had no idea, Dave, we'd be doing what we were doing, It's incredible. So it's so much fun to have people all over the world chime in and say that they've learned stuff, and that's great. Yeah,
good friendships, good information, good community, and it's a good show. So thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us today. Have a great rest of your day. Stay safe out there. And we will see you next time. Cheers. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye-bye.